hard that you may have overcome and been forced to deal with and come out strong and God?
I've overcome a lot of things. I've overcome sort of, if we can start with sort of mental illness to a certain degree, as far as sort of, not a mental illness, but like obsessive compulsive behavior and addictive behavior and addictive personality. Sort of once you realize that that's what you're dealing with, and you focus on it, you can sort of figure things out yourself, you know what I mean? Like, I don't go to counseling or anything like that, but I have OCD. Like, okay, cool, learn to deal with it. The world's not gonna end if I don't touch this door 3 times in a row, you know what I mean? Like, and every day I struggle with that. It's not something I talk about in interviews, but because that's what this is about, and I'm totally happy to talk about it. It's just not something that usually comes up in interviews. But I think it's important to speak about depression and having the blues, because we all deal with it on a human level. Everybody is prone to becoming depressed. Everybody is prone to getting the blues. And things I've learned in the past few years is how to not only overcome it, but how to avoid it when I see signs of it happening. For example, exercising is important. Drinking water is important. Eating properly is important. Spending time with your family is important. Those are all things sometimes we don't pay attention to, and then you wonder why all of a sudden you're cooped up in your apartment and you're depressed and you don't know why. So, I just try to look at life and appreciate every day that we're alive. It's simple things like other things I've overcome is treating people how I want to be treated. And when you sort of let love into your heart and you decide that you're not afraid of the word love anymore, like for me that was a tough thing, letting down that wall, because I grew up with gangs my whole life, and people sort of on that other side of the fence, that I always had this sort of small man's complex, and I always sort of had this thing like I was afraid to sort of let love in. And when I say in songs, when I smashed the walls around, and when I tore that wall down and just let light into my heart, it's not something you have to be afraid of. And life is so much better when you do let it in. And I feel that I like myself better now. I believe that when I interact with people and they leave the situation, they have a better feeling of who I am now than as before. But these are all things that we learn in life, and it's okay. Life's a beautiful struggle. It's okay to be one way for a certain part of your life and learn from your mistakes, or focus on bettering yourself, and that's kind of part of the whole journey and ride. So those are some things that I think I've overcome in the past few years. Of course, my addictive personality was a big struggle for me with my trials and tribulations with the drug addiction and all that kind of stuff. I've been drug-free for 3 years, but I do drink now occasionally. But even that, I just became single after 3 years. And you're not even going to get a chance to ask a question. I'm just going to talk. So now all of a sudden I'm single after 3 years of being faithful, because I was faithful, and not doing drugs, not allowing myself to go to a casino, not going to clubs because there was no point. You got a girlfriend, you can't drink, you don't do drugs, what's the point? So all of a sudden I'm let myself back into this world. Now I've just jumped on tour, I'm single, drinking again. So the last couple weeks I went a little wild. But even, it's funny that we're talking about this, because even 2 days ago I was like, okay, I got to reel it back in. And I went, and I've been going to the hotel room and just chilling with my dogs and decompressing and focusing on getting back on the right track, because just because you are a certain way for 3 years and then you let 1 or 2 new things back in, it's up to me if I can have moderation in my life. Because if I don't keep a handle on what I'm allowing myself to do, then I'm going to eventually hit a wall, and I'm going to have to go back to being the guy who can't do anything again. I don't want to live my life like that. I want to be able to be normal to a certain degree. I want to be able to enjoy having a drink once in a while and things like that. So it's going to be up to me to focus on the moderation.
Regulate yourself.
Yeah, regulate yourself. So as far as addiction, one of the things that you can do that you have to not be afraid to do is pick yourself up and remove yourself from a situation. Example, I was on tour on the Warped Tour with a fellow artist. He lived in a different country, and we were talking about addiction and problems, and he said, yeah, I'm going to go back to my own apartment where I know there's going to be drugs and partying and all that stuff. So I talked to the friend and said, you got to get a new crib. Like, you have to, and that's what I had to do, and it's not easy. I had to pick myself up and remove myself from the equation, and I had to walk away from 99% of the people that I knew at the time. Life's hard. You have to make hard choices, and you have to follow through, but your life is more important than, being lazy and staying in that same situation because maybe you like a girl, or because maybe you think these are the best friends you're going to have and you're not going to meet new people. If you're surrounded with negativity and surrounded with substance abuse, you're going to stay in that vicious cycle. It's as simple as this. You can stay in this pit, and you can chase your tail and go round and around in this vicious cycle and be like, why isn't anything changing? Or you can pick yourself up and rise above it. If you rise above the demons, pick yourself up, rise above the demons, eventually those demons can't reach you anymore. Why? Because you're above it. And I'm not trying to say that people in my past were below me, but I am definitely saying that, being a drug addict and becoming someone that my parents aren't proud of is definitely below me. I don't want to be that person, so I rose above it. So I'd say that's one of the most important things for people to figure out if they're dealing with addiction. Yeah, basically you can follow me on Twitter at Madchild57 or Instagram Madchild_. My second album, my new album is called Mower Man. It's out right now, and we have a family and a positive movement called Battle Axe Warriors. And if you're into hip-hop and you're into bettering yourself and into having a positive attitude, check it out at battleaxewarriors.net. What's up? This is Madchild from Battle Axe Warriors, and you're watching Shed My Skin.